I have a rule of thumb. Does this belong here? The reason I believe that happened, that they jumped into the number one spot, is because we ended search. The formula to figuring out what your content should be is just to go to Google for the keyword you're trying to rank for and figure out what they're already rewarding.
Welcome to the show today, everyone. This is Chats with Selenites. I'm joined with David Crowther, CEO and founder of Websites That Sell. Say hello, David.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, awesome. So, look, today we're just having a quick chat about how to write SEO-friendly content, and
Awesome.
we're just going to break that down a little bit, pick your brain, and see what we can find.
Well, rock and roll. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So obviously you've been doing SEO for a long time now. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
SEO. I first cut my teeth in SEO probably around about 2010, 2011, when it's just a matter of the internet kind of blew up. It was just kind of, we evolved, and it was a great traffic source, and I just kind of learned streetwise. There was no really courses. It's just testing and measuring what worked, and that is how I learned SEO. It's not from a course or anything. It's kind of like doing it and figuring out what works, and then and just staying on that course.
Yeah, that's it. So with the content for your SEO, how would you define like what SEO friendly content is?
What SEO friendly content is? I always look at content this way. So Google's vision is to end search. And if your content helps Google end search, they are going to love your content. The algorithm, the way that designed it, what they want to achieve is to end search. And if your content helps that algorithm, that software, Google, to do that, they're going to reward you for it. And usually what rewards look like in SEO is rankings. So what we got to think about then is, okay, so Google it's a business. Now they want to be able to do this as efficiently, effectively, as fast as possible. Because if it takes them a long time to do that, if it's inefficient and it's slow, it's going to cost them a lot of money.
Yeah.
So the more something costs, the less profitable their business is. So what they are looking for is to end search, but to do it in the most effective, efficient, and quickest way. So that's kind of the mindset that I have, and I've developed over the years for SEO content, is that, okay, if Google wants to end search, my content needs to end search as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So
you're kind of balancing that equation then for Google, where, you know, they want to spend as little money as possible finding out about your content, but you still have to provide the best content possible.
The best answer.
Yeah,
correctly.
Yeah.
So that's the art. See, early on in the SEO days, like I said, I've been doing SEO a long, long time, and there was all these checklists and rules. Okay, so for example, they'd say, okay, you've got to have a minimum of 1,000 words. You've got to have this keyword density. So what I mean by that is, okay, if you want to rank for, say, the word elephant, you've got to have the word elephant in that content 300 times, that giving that content a keyword density for the word elephant, a 60% score or something like that. So they were like, the SEOs, they're very technically minded. They're not really marketing minded. But what I found over the years is that if you just end search, if you give the end user exactly what they want, all of that stuff, actually, one, I'll give you an example in a moment, it goes out the window, but two, it actually helps you write good SEO content because you're just staying natural and you give the user exactly what they're after.
Yep.
And as I said, I'll give you an example. We were working with a mortgage broker, and they wanted to rank for mortgage broker Sunshine Coast, mortgage broker Brisbane, so on. Now, what we realize, and this comes back to really, to end search, you have to understand what the user is after. Okay, so you got to understand the actual phrase that they're using. Now, they typed in mortgage broker Brisbane or mortgage broker Sunshine Coast. They didn't want a long explanation of who a mortgage or what a mortgage broker does, what they can help them with, and things like that. That already took place early on in the customer journey, and it didn't belong on that page. So for us to end search, We just have to give them the exact thing that they're after. They want a good rate,
Yep.
and they want to choose someone that they can trust. Okay. So what we did, and this was a breakthrough because we had this long content on there, and this is where it really started to solidify this end search concept in my mind, is that we built a mortgage home loan calculator where people that jumped on the page could actually press a button and see the best rate, like put in a few details and then see the best rate for their situation. And we realized that is what they're after. Even though they're saying mortgage broker Brisbane, what they really wanted to see is, what kind of rate can this mortgage broker in Brisbane get me? So, and even though the phrase says one thing, what they really wanted was the other. Now, when we implemented that, the site went from like 4th position straight into the top page. And because the reason I believe that happened, that they jumped into the number 1 spot, is because we ended search. We gave the user exactly what they're after.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll probably liken it like this, Luke. So let's say you're going, you got to drive here. We're on the Sunshine Coast, and you got to drive down to, say, Melbourne.
Yeah.
Now, the way that you do it is you obviously you grab out your phone, you put in the destination into the maps, and then Google or Apple or whatever the maps program that you're using will give you 3 or 4 different routes to take there. Now, which route are you going to choose?
It's going to be the quickest.
The shortest one.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's how I liken it. You want to get to the destination as quick as possible.
Yeah.
And if you go zigzag around, if you go from here to here, remember what we talked about, it makes it expensive for Google to understand your content. So you want to cut the fluff. You want to make sure good SEO content, it cuts the fluff. It doesn't puts unnecessary stops in there, because that's going to make it longer. It's going to make it take longer. So for me, good SEO content, it ends search, and it does that by giving the best answer and the most efficient, effective, and most whole way for people to understand and get the answers that they need.
Yeah. Well, and the classic example of content that is just all over the place and frustrates people and probably has given SEO a bit of a bad name for some people is recipes online.
Right.
You know what it's like. You're looking for a recipe for, I don't know, a pasta bake.
Right.
And you have to scroll through. I grew up in the suburbs of Brisbane. I was born in 1997 and my mother made this, and they just goes on and on and on. And that's frustrating because people just want the recipe.
Exactly.
And it just complicates things. It's, you're not giving them what they want. They want the recipe.
Give them what they want.
Yeah.
That's really it. That's, for me, as simple as it sounds, that's what makes awesome content. And when you understand, and being able to do that is understanding the keyword intent. When you understand the keyword intent, it's not about a formula of this many words. You got to have the keyword this many times. You got to have this many hashtags and whatever else. It's just understanding the intent of the search, and then end the search with your content.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Well, one of the things I was going to ask you, and funnily enough, we're talking about recipes. I was going to ask you sort of, people wonder about sort of what's the right ingredients, talking about recipes. What sort of things do you think that what does good SEO optimized content have? But you're saying actually there is no secret ingredient.
Right.
It is just what the user needs. You have to find out what the user needs.
Yeah. Do you want me to tell you how to find that?
Yeah.
It's an easy way.
Yeah.
People don't use Google for SEO. And they use these tools, Ahrefs, SEMrush, keyword density checker, whatever else. They use all these tools for content, Surfer SEO, and all that stuff. The first place that I go to work out what type of content should I be writing for this keyword, what's the structure, what do I need to be talking about, what shouldn't be in there, and we can go deeper and deeper here. But what I do to find that is simply go to Google. So let's say you want to rank for cat training, type cat training into Google and figure out exactly, what's Google ranking? What do they see as the most relevant result? And then you really want to emulate what's on there. So we call it consensus. So if the first 5 or 6 results say one thing, your content needs to say that thing. Now, you can have a unique spin, and we'll talk about that in terms of having authority, maybe your own stats and things like that to give you real credibility and a point of difference. but your consensus of your content needs to be the same.
Yep.
So if everyone on the first page talks about the 7 best strategies to train your cat, you can't come in with an article that says the 7 mistakes of cat training. The consensus is off. They're talking about something positive. You're talking about something negative, but there is literally 7, 8 results on the first page that are talking about something positive. You're going to have a hard time ranking.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just one kind of example, but really the formula, the figuring out what your content should be is just to go to Google for the keyword you're trying to rank for and figure out what they're already rewarding.
Yeah.
That's
Google
the
will
right
already
way.
tell you what it likes straight away.
Exactly.
It's all there.
It's right there
Yeah.
in front of us. We've just got to now get the consensus right and then make your content more awesome without going off course, because that's usually what happens. A lot of times then this old traditional SEO takes over in people's minds and
Yeah.
they think, oh yeah, I've got to also talk about this. I've got to also talk about this. And remember, we talked about don't bloat your content and get away from that answer.
Yeah.
It's like keep it as tight and as sharp as possible. Give the answer in as quick as possible and search, but do it in a better way than what the others are doing already.
Yeah. And I think that's for me at least, and you may agree or disagree or have something to add, but I think that's probably what separates bad SEO or even just average SEO from really good SEO. It's giving the user what they want, but also working in all of those things that Google wants, all those checks and things they want to see without taking away from that user experience. That's what do you think?
It's just good marketing.
Yeah.
So SEO, people look at it as like it's this technical thing. It's this, you got to be a nerd. You've got to understand this and that. It's just good marketing these days. It's being able to understand who are my customers, where they're up to in their customer journey, what are they typing in, and when they're typing that in, what do they need to get to not have to go anywhere else to get an answer?
Yeah.
How can you give them that? If you nail that, you're going to rank. And when we see that carry so much more weight than building 1,000 links to it, just nailing the intent is what's going to get you into that first page.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, so would you say for business owners or content writers or anyone in this space that's trying to work out, is this content good? Am I doing the right thing? Maybe just ask yourself, am I best serving the people that I'm trying to target here? Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
And are you matching what Google's already rewarding?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. And that's especially important for newer or smaller businesses where you don't necessarily have that authority either, because that can play into it, right?
Correct. So really good point. So what we've found is that if we're working with a big brand that's already talked about a lot of other things and are already ranking. So just because you're a big brand doesn't mean that Google sees you as an authority as well. Okay. So you gotta have a big brand, but big brand in SEO also means that you're already ranking. Google already sees you as a relevant source, that you've already got authority. So you're ranking for other things in the space. What happens is when you've got that authorship authority with Google as a brand, you sometimes can come out with a totally different take and actually outrank them. So that does happen as well. But as you said, if you're just starting out, if your site hasn't got the backlinks, if it hasn't got the authority, if you're not already ranking other content, you're going to have a hard time trying to argue with the authorities in the space.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
right.
so let's say you're a medical site or a naturopath or a chiropractor and things like that. You're going to have a hard time outranking a WebMD or a health website. That's
government sources.
Exactly. You're going to have a hard time outranking them because they've already got the authority. They're ranking for hundreds of these pages. You're just coming in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so that's obviously important for actually creating good content that users want, they want to engage with, keeps Google happy. But in terms of the specifics when you're writing the content, like how to organize things on the page, is there any tips or key sort of guidelines to look out for there in terms of structure?
Yeah, great question.
Yep.
Because again, you could go with a checklist, but once you understand what needs to be on the first page, I liken the content that we write, I liken it to a well-written and chaptered book. So rather than having these index cards of all these different topics that should be on the page and you shuffle them and then put them together, that's not going to be easy for Google to understand what this page is about. But a well-chaptered book goes from topic A to topic B to topic C. So chapter 1 to chapter 2, it builds upon each other, and it either goes deeper into the topic or it goes broader across the topic. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's how I look at it. Don't look at it, okay, you got to have 10 H2s and H3s and this and that. Look at it, okay, what are we trying to answer? What is it going to take? And how deep do I need to go to give that answer, to give that best answer that either A, makes me more of an authority on that topic, so compared to what's on the first page, or B, helps people give people a better answer. So for me, the structure is always liken it to a well-written book that's chaptered and organized, rather than a whole bunch of index cards that are just kind of thrown on the page. Because not only does that help users better understand the content, remember with Google, we're dealing with a machine. So it helps Google, it makes it easier for Google to understand things.
Yeah.
And that's really the way that we like to organize our pages. And again, we don't zigzag around. Okay, that's really important to understand, that one topic will build on the other one. Now, your H2 kind of really are the markers of your main topic that you're discussing.
Yeah.
And then your H3s really kind of go deeper into that H2 topic. But then you don't go into a H2 and go deeper into the topic again. See how we're like, well, now it doesn't make sense. We're kind of like, that already had a chapter. So if we want to do that, that stays within that chapter. And then the next chapter only talks about that.
Yep. Great.
Okay, so it's got to be really themed tightly together, one topic leading to another, and then really going through those topics within there.
Yeah. And in those topics as well, like this is something a lot of people struggle with. How do you balance that? Oh, I want to touch on these specific topics, or, you know, keywords, or anything you want to bring into that article where you know that this is going to help the page become optimized or rank well,
or like
versus
SEO things.
Yeah, like versus, you know, like I say, completely. I'm sure everyone's seen those sites that are just spammed with keywords that don't really make
and
sense
links
grammatically.
going everywhere.
Yeah,
and things like that.
How do you strike that balance?
Awesome. Yeah, I have a rule of thumb. Does this belong here?
Yeah.
So if a user's reading this and then a link takes them somewhere else that's really not relevant and it doesn't really help on the journey, it doesn't belong there. If a headline doesn't help a reader progress through the content or help them further understand something and it doesn't belong there, don't use it. If a keyword doesn't belong in the say the URL in the breadcrumb, or anywhere on the page, don't put it in there. If it doesn't belong, don't put it in there.
Yep.
And I probably liken it to going on holidays. Like if you're going on a beach holiday, you're not going to pack your skis. You're not going to pack your gloves. You're not going to pack your big jacket.
Yep.
That's just going to bloat all your luggage, and it's going to cost you more on the plane.
Yeah.
Remember, we're dealing with a business. Google's a business. And if you put more bloat on there and you put, just because you think it's going to help your SEO, because somewhere you read, oh, you got to have interlinking, or you got to have this type of structure, you got to have this. If it doesn't actually belong on the page, don't put it on the page. It's just going to bloat it. It's going to make it more expensive. And you end up at the island, if we go back to that analogy, with all this luggage that you're never even going to use. So cut the fluff. Only if it belongs on the page should it be on the page.
Yeah. And with all that extra luggage, the airline or Google is going to charge you a lot more
charge
to carry
extra.
it there. And no one's going to use it. No one's going to like
Exactly.
that. No one's going to use the skis on their beach holiday.
So cut the fluff, cut the stuff that doesn't belong.
Yeah.
Don't pack it. Don't put it in the page.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So I've written my content, I've optimized it, I've organized it really nicely, and I have somewhat of a consensus with my competitors, except the only problem now is my content is like all of the competitors. So how do I differentiate myself? What can I do to enhance or make that content more engaging? Thinking about like Eat with Google, different sources of like media and things we can put in there. Is there anything like I can do?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great question. And this is where SEO actually gets exciting.
Yeah.
And this is while we actually love working with our clients, even though I get it, a lot of our clients are busy and they don't have time, but we make the time to jump on the phone with them and we ask them specific questions and we draw, get this, their expertise out of them, because our clients will have a unique take on certain processes. And then you can ask, well, why do you do that? Why do you do that a certain way? So, and when you can explain that in your content, you should do this because of that. We've had this experience, and this is why we don't do our process like this. That positions you as an authority, because get this, to be able to do that, you would have had to have experience. You would have done it before. You've got authority now because, oh, you're with experience, you've done this before, you're demonstrating all of those things. And what else is in it? We've got experience,
Authority,
authority.
trustworthiness.
Now, yeah, so trustworthiness is, here's what, here's where this works. So we have case studies in there. So you actually illustrate why your point works. So you give case studies that are specific to that. And this all helps a reader understand that what you're saying is actually true, and it adds to your content. Okay.
Yep.
So all of those things help a lot. One of the things that works really well is having your own unique original data.
Yeah.
Okay, so um, we all know in the SEO industry, a lot of people, they'll try and do stats articles and things like that. And you can go into ChatGPT, you can go on Google and find all these kind of stats from different studies all around the internet. We had an article like that because it worked probably 2-3 years ago, but we usually go back and look at our content and see how can we make this better.
Yep.
And we found that we had access to over 40, I think, or so businesses and their actual local data.
Yep.
And different kind of local stats around their business, around their Google business profile, their rankings, their search console, and all that type of stuff. We're able to extract all that data and then start drawing conclusions and correlations between the data, which actually gave us our own stats on local SEO. Now, we republished that. We were nowhere to be found, and we jumped straight back onto the second page for local SEO stats.
Yep.
Out of nowhere, not any more links, not rewriting more content. It was original data that was added to the content that made all the difference. So that giving fresh, that's what that whole fresh content's about.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, that's so important. You know, like especially, excuse me, with AI coming into the picture, that's really where experts in business can actually stand out. Is you've got so many AI articles and people just using AI, even people that are experts that just want to use AI to just sum stuff up, where AI can only say what's already been said.
Right.
You as an expert in your area can actually offer that unique perspective and experience that only you can really provide.
And real data behind it. So it's not like you're just making it up. You've got the data there. And watch your content getting pulled into the AI engines. So we're not, SEO is really search everywhere optimization. So rather than just optimizing for Google, when you do this the right way and you optimize for people first, we call it people first content.
Yeah.
When you do that, other sources, you're future-proofing your content, because that's what other tools are going to want as well. They don't want just the same thing regurgitated, like you said. They want the experts that are going to be able to say the best to help their users out. That's what good content is.
Yeah, awesome. And with AI as well, obviously it is a tool. We don't need to be scared of it. It can be used as a tool to enhance what you're doing, but within that, obviously now Google in Australia has brought out the AI search mode. They're rolling that out, and it's a lot of people are turning to ChatGPT and various other AI search engines to find the information that they need. Is there still a way that we can work with AI in our content to provide those snippets or useful info that AI can pull out? Yep.
So I think, again, remember you're dealing with tools.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we look at any AI engine, it's like a lighthouse, and it's just looking for the best signals for to show people. So if you can be clear in your signal, if you can be concise in what you're giving them, and if you can structure it in the way that they can most easily understand it, you're going to be found in those AI engines. I'll give you an example. We all know that ChatGPT and even Claude, they love tables. So if you have tables in your content where you have this, we talked about different data, but you organize it in a table that it helps people quickly make a decision. because you could compare different things really easily, but
Mm.
AI loves it, and they sometimes just pull all of that information straight into their answers as well.
Yeah.
So that's one way that the kind of structures to use and the kind of content types to use within your content. I think the big thing to remember is being precise. We talked about that at the start.
Yeah.
Like, get to the answers. Be clear. Be sharp. So again, if once that light's shining, it's easy to see and pick you out. So that's the lighthouse analogy. The light's shining around. If you're clear, sharp, and concise, the AIs can pick you out, and they'll pick your content out and push it into their results as well. And that's what we're seeing with Google Gemini, with Chad as well. We're seeing it on the AI results, that it's the clear, precise, best answers. They're going to be at the top.
Yeah, yeah. And really, like, working all the way through this like we have, if you kind of wind it back again, really, like, what is it? Like, if we're asking, well, what is SEO friendly content, the way that we've gone through it, it really is just, if Google is prioritizing people, putting people first, and content that people want to read and engage with, then really SEO friendly content is actually content that is just helpful to people. It's people first content, right?
Correct. It's just, it helps end search.
Yeah.
It gives them the answer that they need in the quickest, most efficient possible way.
Yeah. Great.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, David.
No problem.
Appreciate your time.
All good.
Cool.